Ever wondered how croissants go from dough to deliciousness? Well, you're about to find out. We're diving into the croissant factory where all the magic happens. No wizardry, just a lot of butter and some serious dough skills. It's way more than just baking. Trust me, you'll never look at a croissant the same way again. Ready to see how the flakiest snack on earth gets made? Let's go! Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of our awesome new videos every day around this time. And if you enjoyed this, drop a like to show some love. Ever wondered how much flour it takes to make millions of croissants? Well, get ready to have your mind blown. We're about to step into a room that looks like it could feed a small country. Picture this. Huge sacks of flour, sugar, and salt stacked up to the ceiling. It's like a grocery store on steroids. Now, let's check out how they measure all this stuff accurately. We're talking industrial scale baking here, folks. That's where the real magic happens. Look at these massive automated scales. They're like the ones you see at the grocery store, but cranked up to 11. These bad boys can weigh out hundreds of pounds of ingredients in one go, with precision down to the gram. It's like the accuracy needed in aerospace engineering, but for pastries. Moving from flour to yeast, let's talk about rising time. You know how sometimes your homemade bread takes forever to rise? Well, these folks don't have time for that. They use a special kind of yeast that works faster than what we use at home. It's the Usain Bolt of the yeast world, quick and effective. Now, let's see the butter. Look at those butter blocks. They're bigger than your average kid. I'm not kidding. We're talking about slabs of butter that could probably double as a toboggan in a pinch. It's enough to make Paula Deen jealous. Check out the water system here. It's pretty nifty too. It doesn't just dump water in willy-nilly. Nope. It measures the temperature to the exact degree. Why? Because in the world of croissants, precision is key. Too cold, and the dough won't rise properly. Too warm, and you might as well kiss those flaky layers goodbye. Now it's time for the fun part. Watch all these ingredients come together. It's like a well-rehearsed symphony of flour, butter, and yeast. The machines move with incredible precision, adding each ingredient at just the right moment. It's mesmerizing to watch, really. You'd think they were making gold instead of croissants. But here's the real kicker. All these super precise measurements aren't just for show. They ensure that every single croissant tastes exactly the same. Whether you're biting into a croissant in New York or Nebraska, you're getting the same delicious experience. It's like cloning, but for pastries. All right, folks, it's time to enter the mixing room, the heart of our croissant factory. Remember those stand mixers in your kitchen? Well, these mega mixers are on a whole different level. Imagine a blender, so powerful it could mix a car wash. As we step into this cavernous space, you'll notice something incredible. These mixers are colossal machines that dominate the room. But let's not get too close. Safety first in our croissant adventure. Now, you might be wondering, how do they mix dough for thousands of croissants without turning this place into a gigantic flour bomb? Great question. Let's take a closer look at these mechanical marvels in action. Watch as the ingredients start swirling together. It's like a slow-motion tornado of deliciousness. The mixing arms move with incredible power and precision. These bad boys can knead dough for up to 10,000 croissants at once. That's enough to feed a small army of pastry lovers. Check out those computers over there. They're the brains behind the operation, controlling every aspect of the mixing process. As our head baker says, these systems ensure precise mixing times and ingredient ratios, guaranteeing consistency across thousands of batches. The computers adjust mixing times down to the second, making sure each batch is mixed to perfection. It's like having a team of master bakers working 24/7, but they never get tired or accidentally add too much salt because they were thinking about what to have for dinner. As we watch, you can see the dough transforming before our eyes. It's getting smoother and more uniform with each rotation of those giant mixing arms. The swirling motion is creating the perfect consistency for those flaky layers we all love in our croissants. You know how sometimes when you're baking at home, you end up with lumpy dough or flour pockets? Well, these mega mixers say no way to that nonsense. Their powerful arms create a vortex that pulls all the ingredients into a perfectly blended dough. It's like a black hole of baking, where no flour clump can escape. Now, let's talk about why getting this dough just right is so crucial. The consistency of the dough at this stage sets the foundation for everything that comes after. If it's too sticky or too dry, those beautiful layers in your croissant might end up more like a sad, flat pancake. But with these high-tech mixing monsters, we get perfect dough every single time. Oh, look at that! The mixing is almost done. You can see the dough has reached that smooth, elastic consistency that bakers dream about. It's like the mixer has performed some kind of kitchen alchemy, transforming simple ingredients into the promise of golden, flaky perfection. Now that we've got our perfectly mixed dough, it's time for the real magic to begin. Remember when I said croissants have layers? Well, get ready to see how those flaky, buttery layers come to life. Welcome to the lamination station, folks. This is where our dough transforms into the foundation of those heavenly croissants you love. Let's break down this amazing process step by step. First up, check out this massive dough sheet. It's longer than a school bus. The industrial dough sheeter is hard at work, rolling out our dough into a thin, even layer. This machine is a real workhorse, handling huge amounts of dough while keeping it perfectly consistent. No lumps or bumps here. Next, we spread butter thin as paper across the dough. This sets us up for all those flaky layers we're after. Now the real fun begins with the folding machine. What would take a baker hours to do by hand, this machine knocks out in minutes. It's like having a team of super fast, never tired bakers working non-stop. As the dough goes through the machine, it gets folded over and over again. Each fold creates more layers. There are hundreds of layers in each croissant by the time we're done. It's mind-boggling when you think about it, but that's not all. The dough also gets thinner with each pass through the machine. It's like a pastry treadmill, but instead of making you sweat, it's making your future breakfast even more delicious. Now, you might be wondering why we're so obsessed with these layers. They're the secret to that light, airy, crispy croissant you love to bite into. When the croissants bake, the butter melts and creates steam, which puffs up each layer. Pretty cool, huh? Temperature control is super important in this process. The machines are designed to keep everything at just the right temperature. If the butter gets too warm, it'll melt into the dough and ruin our layers. Too cold, and it won't spread properly. It's a delicate balance, but these machines have got it down to a science. The whole process is so efficient and precise that it can create hundreds of perfectly even layers in each croissant. Imagine trying to do that by hand. You'd need the patience of a saint and the precision of a surgeon. Luckily, this machine has both in spades. As we watch the dough make its final pass through the laminator, it's amazing to think about how far we've come. From simple ingredients to this precisely layered dough, we're well on our way to croissant perfection. Each pass through the machine is another step closer to those golden, flaky croissants we're all dreaming about. Ready for some impressive machinery? Let's check out how these machines turn our flat dough into those perfect crescent shapes we all love. Remember those long sheets of layered dough we saw earlier? Well, they're about to get a major makeover. First up, we've got cutting machines that slice through the dough like butter, creating perfect triangles at lightning speed. These machines churn out 100 to 300 triangles every single minute. That's way faster than any human could ever manage. Once we've got our triangles, it's time for the real magic to happen. Picture a row of metal arms that look like they belong in a sci-fi movie. These aren't just any robots though, they're croissant shaping experts. Let's watch as the dough triangles line up, ready for their transformation. Each triangle gets picked up by super gentle robot arms. These machines are specially designed to handle our delicate dough with care. See how the machine starts to roll each triangle. It's like watching a master pastry chef at work, except way faster and more precise. The dough gets tucked in nice and tight, creating that signature croissant shape we all know and love. And get this, these machines use special materials that don't stick to the dough. No more worrying about your croissant getting squished or torn. Here's the really cool part. Every single croissant comes out looking exactly the same. The machines are so precise that they can control the thickness, the curve, and even how tight each croissant is rolled. It's like having a whole team of expert bakers working non-stop. Now, you might be wondering, why go through all this trouble? Well, imagine trying to make thousands of croissants by hand. Even the most skilled baker would end up with some wonky-looking pastries after a while. But these machines? They can keep going and going. churning out perfect croissants like it's no big deal. Let's take a closer look at how these shaping machines work. They've got rotating blades that guide the dough into the right position. Then, soft materials gently push and fold the dough without sticking. It's like a delicate dance between metal and dough, creating that perfect crescent shape every single time. These machines aren't just fast, they're smart too. They're designed to keep the dough at just the right temperature and apply the perfect amount of pressure. Too much squeezing, and you'll end up with flat, sad croissants. Too little, and they might unroll in the oven. But these robots, they've got it down to a science, ensuring each croissant is shaped to perfection. Now that our croissants are shaped, it's time for the real test. How do you bake thousands of these delicate pastries without turning a single one into a crispy cracker? The answer lies in some seriously impressive ovens that would make your kitchen appliance feel like an easy bake toy. Let's step into the baking zone where the magic happens. These aren't your average ovens. They're industrial giants longer than a train car. And they're packed with cool tech to ensure every croissant comes out perfect. Check out those conveyor belts snaking through the ovens. They're taking our pastries on a carefully planned journey through different heat zones. It's like a roller coaster ride for croissants, but instead of loops and drops, they're getting the perfect amount of heat at each stage. Now, let's talk temperature. These ovens are hot. We're talking around 375 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The clever part: the temperature is controlled down to the exact degree, like a conductor orchestrating a symphony of heat zones. No more worrying about hotspots or cold corners, like in your home oven. As we watch the croissants move through the oven, you can see them puffing up right before our eyes. It's like they're taking a deep breath and stretching out. This is where all that careful layering we saw earlier really pays off. The heat is making the butter between those layers melt, creating steam that puffs up each layer. It's like watching thousands of tiny hot air balloons inflating at once. Look closely at those trays carrying the croissants. See how they have special shaped holes. Each croissant sits in its own little spot, helping it keep its perfect shape as it bakes. No more worrying about your croissants bumping into each other and getting squished. Now, take a deep breath. Can you smell that amazing aroma? It's like 1,000 bakeries all rolled into one room. That heavenly scent is telling us our croissants are almost done, but we're not finished yet. After baking, these clever machines have one more trick up their sleeve. See those automatic nozzles at the end of the line? They punch tiny holes in each croissant to let out any trapped steam. It's a crucial step for keeping our croissants crisp and flaky, not soggy. The result of all this high-tech baking? These amazing ovens can churn out up to 10,000 perfectly golden croissants every single hour. That's more pastries than you could eat in a year, even if you tried really, really hard. All right, let's dive into the sweet world of croissant fillings. You might think our golden brown beauties are ready to eat, but there's a secret step that turns these croissants from delicious to downright irresistible. Welcome to the filling station, where good croissants become extraordinary. How do you add yummy fillings to thousands of croissants without making a huge mess? That's where some pretty cool machines come in. Check out these injection machines with their small moving injectors. They poke tiny holes in the croissants so precisely, you might miss them if you blink. These machines start pumping in all sorts of delicious fillings. We're talking chocolate, cream, fruity jams, you name it. It's like magic, seeing each croissant get filled up with gooey goodness. These machines are super smart. They can change fillings faster than you can say, chocolate-filled croissant. 1 minute they're squirting in chocolate, and the next they're filling croissants with strawberry jam. It's like a flavor party, and everyone's invited. Now, you might be wondering, how do they make sure each croissant gets the same amount of filling? Great question. These machines are designed to be super precise. They measure out exactly the right amount for each croissant. No more getting a croissant with barely any filling. These machines make sure everyone gets their fair share of deliciousness. Filling croissants isn't just about making them taste good, it's also about food safety. The automated nozzles add the filling without messing up the croissant's perfect layers. Pretty neat, right? Let's talk about all the different fillings you can put in a croissant. There are sweet options like chocolate and fruit jams, which are super popular, but the possibilities are endless. These machines can handle all sorts of fillings, so bakeries can get creative and try out new flavors all the time. The type of filling can actually affect how long a croissant stays fresh. Fillings with more moisture might need special packaging to keep them from going soggy. It's like giving each croissant its own little protective suit. Some factories use some pretty high-tech methods to keep croissants fresh. They might use gas flushing or vacuum sealing when they package the croissants. It's like giving the croissants their own personal atmosphere to keep them tasty for longer. So there you have it. Perfectly filled croissants. No mess, no fuss, just pure deliciousness. These machines can fill thousands of croissants in no time. It's pretty amazing how technology can take something as simple as a croissant and make it even more special. Imagine a delicate croissant. Its flaky layers so fragile they could crumble at the slightest touch. Now picture thousands of these buttery beauties making their way to your local store without a single dent. How do they do it? It's all thanks to some seriously gentle robots and a game of industrial-sized Tetris. Welcome to the packaging area, where our croissants get ready for their journey to your breakfast table. You might wonder how they package thousands of these flaky treats without turning them into buttery pancakes. Let me show you the high-tech magic that makes it happen. First up, we've got these amazing conveyor belts. They're smoother than butter on hot toast, carrying our croissants like they're floating on air. These belts are designed to be super gentle, making sure our pastries don't get squished on their way to the wrapping machine. Watch how the croissants line up on the belt like little pastry soldiers, all in perfect formation. They're ready for their special armor, food-grade plastic films that keep them fresh and tasty. These films do more than just protect. They preserve the visual appeal and taste integrity that customers expect. Now check out these wrapping machines. They're like the fastest gift wrappers you've ever seen, but for pastries. These high-speed flow wrapping machines wrap individual croissants at lightning speed. See how the plastic film forms a tube around each croissant as it moves along. It's mesmerizing. Those sensors on the machine make sure each croissant is perfectly positioned before wrapping. No croissant left behind or wrapped wonky on this production line. This attention to detail ensures every package looks as good as the pastry inside. Now for the real magic. Look at those robotic arms. Each one is equipped with fancy sensors and precision grippers. Watch how they pick up the packaged croissants from the conveyor belt. It's like a high-stakes game of operation, but with pastries. Here's where our industrial Tetris game really kicks in. The robots stack the wrapped croissants inside big carton boxes, fitting them perfectly without crushing a single one. It's pretty impressive how they manage to pack so many while keeping each croissant intact. This careful packaging process doesn't just protect our croissants, it builds trust with customers. Every time someone opens a perfectly packaged croissant, they know they're getting the same quality and freshness, no matter where or when they buy it. Now that's what I call a well-wrapped success story. Automation revolutionizes croissant production, ensuring every pastry meets the same high standards. Imagine biting into a croissant that's exactly like the one you had last week, that's automated quality control at work. This tech isn't just making tasty treats, it's inspiring future food scientists and engineers. Today's machines could be tomorrow's blueprint for culinary breakthroughs. Next time you enjoy that buttery, flaky pastry, can you imagine the high-tech adventure it went on to get to your table? From giant mixers to precise robots, it's a tasty blend of science and baking. Who knew breakfast could be so cutting edge? It's a perfect example of how technology can make our favorite foods even better.